Hi everyone, Kelly here again, and today I have Mariah from Kansas City Bassoon Academy. We're going to be chatting about how Mariah added 14 new bassoon students to her studio in less than 6 months, which is just bananas, but really exciting. So Mariah, I want if it's okay, I'd love to just start with you introducing yourself, the studio, what you do as a musician, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, awesome. So, yes, I'm Mariah. I am the owner and head mastermind teacher behind Kansas City Bassoon Academy. I also have a reed business called Raven Reeds. I ship reeds across the country. And then I also am the founder and artistic director of the Fountain City Bassoon Ensemble, which is a community bassoon ensemble that accepts all ages and all ability levels with one rehearsal the day of the concert. Um, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, and bassoon ensemble, I just want to pick on that for just a second because I'm sure people that are listening are like, how do you have that many bassoonists that you can have a bassoon ensemble? But it's a really creative setup that you have and also really inclusive of a lot of different levels, like you were saying. So tell me a little bit more about that ensemble and how that got started.
Yeah. So that was kind of like a brainchild. I don't know. It wasn't my brainchild. I've seen other people do it. In the college environment, we would do bassoon ensemble within the studio. So a lot of times our studio hour in undergrad weekly would be bassoon ensemble time. And then we would have a concert. I believe it was every semester, at least every year. We would do a concert, often combined with another studio, like the clarinet studio or the tuba euphonium studio. So it's kind of always been in the back of my head. And then I've seen other people and other instruments, such as like Tuba Christmas, have these ensembles. And something that's been really important to me is community, because I think that, yes, competition is good in some ways, especially for students. They have to have something to gauge themselves against. But I think it's more important to just be friends with everybody and to know everybody. And for especially my young students, oftentimes they're the only bassoonist in their program. The only other bassoonist they ever play next to is me in lessons. And so to have them sit next to an adult who is not a professional bassoonist, they're an amateur hobbyist. Some of them are really phenomenal and could get jobs in bassoon if they wanted to. But for them to see um, that continuing path is really important to me.
Yeah. And sometimes they're playing next to their band directors too. Like this is not just, community of just bassoon specialists, if you will, but
Yeah,
also those that are interested in learning a little bit more about the instrument, right?
yeah, yeah.
So cool. And to build that community and give students the opportunity to get to know those musicians on a different level is just, it's a treat. It's such a nice little addition
It
to what you're
is.
doing.
Yeah, and it was really cool. My middle school band director, because I live in the area that I grew up in now. And he came to the last concert. We did a Halloween concert, and I was talking to him. We share a student. And he mentioned, he was like, I think it's awesome that kids can see that this doesn't have to end at high school.
Yep.
Because so often as bassonists, we turn in the instrument, and if you're not a music major, you don't have an instrument. And so for them to see that, oh, these people they do this for fun, right? They do community bands or they're a band director. They do it simply for fun. So it doesn't have to end. I
Yeah.
think that's really, really valuable.
Well, and to see that lifelong music making, I think opens up a lot of other possibilities for students, even as they head into college. There
Yeah.
are ensembles, there are community orchestras, there are groups that they can participate in. And if music has always been a creative outlet for them and a space where they express themselves, it doesn't have to just disappear one day. It's
Yeah.
kind of an awkward part of high school. Like some of the hobbies that you had in high school and some of the activities, they may not continue in college unless you seek them out,
Right.
obviously. But knowing what's possible is really important. Ah, I
It
love it.
is.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
exciting. Oh my gosh. Well, let's talk about the studio a little bit. I know that's the main reason we're here. So we'll circle back for a second on the studio. Tell us a little bit more about, kind of your ideal student and also maybe what the studio looked like. We're talking about 6 months ago, so over the summer. What did the studio look like at that point? And then who were we trying to find and attract to the studio?
Yeah. So the studio was 5 students with one that was going to come back and did come back after the summer. And it was mostly, I would say, kind of older students, high school age. And then they were all good students. I love all of them. But I think the big shift for me, an ideal student, was finding the student who is super eager about bassoon and super willing to learn. And that for me has, I think, been one of the biggest things that's propelled everything, is finding the student, adult or young kiddo, that is just willing to learn and is excited about it. Because I'm excited about bassoon.
When we can share that passion, it means that those connections with students are just so much deeper.
Right.
There's a lot more that we can work on and a lot more progress that we can make there too, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
We had 5 students at that point, which is amazing. Like, again, bassoon studios, one of the things that you've already mentioned is that sometimes these programs are really small, right? Like a high school band program might have 1, 2, 3 bassoonists total between all their ensembles. So
right.
If we're trying to grow a studio in a new area, or again, after like coming back and settling into the area that you've lived before, it's a challenge. What were some of the challenges outside of just bassoon numbers, maybe, that you were running into in marketing and growing the studio, running things?
I think the biggest overall challenge was getting band directors to respond. And you're not going to get everybody. Not everybody's going to answer their email. But I knew from the get-go that I just need to get in front of people. And every time I've gotten in front of a band director and did a demonstration, or as my colleague calls them, bassoon commercials, which I think is amazing, or started a couple students for them, or just met them, they're like, oh my gosh, you're so awesome. How did I not know you before? Where have you been? When did you move here? I'm like, yes, I've been here. So it's the getting in front of people and actually proving that I'm a cool person and I can teach this instrument. That's been the biggest thing to overcome.
So bassoon commercials are going well, and we're, as long as we're in front of people, we're getting students. Once those students are contacting you, was that process working well, or do we have any additional frustrations there?
The thing with them contacting me was, it felt like sometimes I was just like sending emails and then they would just maybe never respond. And I didn't really have a process for like really speaking to them. And once I moved to doing consultations, instead of a first lesson, I did a first lesson for a fee. So I still wasn't teaching for free, but at a fee. I didn't really get the chance to talk to them. And I thought sending them my studio policies would be just peachy. And having the actual process of sitting down for a consultation, meeting the student, telling them what I'm about, and then actually having a follow-up process has been huge, instead of just, they haven't responded to my email yet. Oh no. And then just getting so much anxiety about it, when it really probably boiled down to it got lost in their inbox.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and especially when we know that there's a small number of students in our area, we kind of need to be really impactful with the communication that we do have, because the opportunity feels potentially a little bit smaller, right? So it's important to have a process there that helps with the needle, but also doesn't feel weird and pushy and salesy.
Yeah.
So we can pivot a little bit. We're starting to talk in this direction anyway. So we met and started talking about the studio and what things are going to look like and the goals that we have for the studio. If we can jump back to that time, so we're talking like June, roughly. What was interesting about maybe working with a program like Outside the Box, or getting a little support in that process for you?
Having someone kind of tell me what to do, in all honesty. Having like a okay, here's what you do step 1. Here's what you do step 2. here's what you do step 3. And especially, I felt like I had no one to talk to about it, about the studio, because I came from a background of wanting to go into academia. And all of those teachers and all of my mentors, that was their path. And they had taught a handful, they've always taught, but no one I knew had really made a go of the private studio thing. Mm. And having a mentor say, "Oh no, that's normal. That's okay. Keep at it," or, "Hey, here's how you could handle this situation." Having that fallback and not just being alone.
Yeah, it's tough to be an independent studio owner sometimes, isn't it? Like just
Yeah.
I don't want to say isolation, that just makes it sound so negative, and I don't want to like scare anyone down. Like teaching by yourself is this really lonely thing. It doesn't have to be. Like there's so many of us doing it that we can have this community, but I think you have to be really intentional about building that community, which can be tricky too. So when we say like we don't really have anyone to talk to about it, it's because everyone's working in silos. It's all running in parallel. We don't have a whole lot of crossover there in the private studios too.
Yeah, and you're building your business.
Yeah.
And when you're working in higher education, you're building the university's business.
Yeah.
And so it's a little different. You're still working for yourself, but not in a way. You're recruiting with that backing behind you.
Yeah. And support from those that are, again, like within your department, and they know it's working when they know it's not working. And there's usually a system for recruitment that the university recommends. It's worked well for them in the past. And like, I don't want to say it's plug and play because it's still far from that. There's definitely challenges in that process, of course. Yeah. But it does mean that we have a little bit more support than when we're doing it on our own. I hear you on that one.
Yeah.
So as we started the studio process, again, first thing that we really want to do, adding students and making sure that we've got a really good flow there. What do you think the reason is that compared to what we were doing in the past, all of a sudden now we started getting more responses from band directors and booking more bassoon commercials?
Yeah, I think it was the follow-up. Honestly, it was that sending the second, third, fourth email, picking up the phone, being politely nagging them. And at the right time, not sending the email at 8 p.m. when I'm finishing my teaching, but scheduling it to send at 10 a.m. when they might have just finished their first band class for the day. That has been, I've gotten the most responses from like the third email.
Yeah.
And they're never upset. No one has been upset with me since, but the anxiety side of my brain before was like, don't do that. You're bothering them. You're going to make them mad. They're going to like blacklist you and not even tell you.
Yeah, don't be annoying, right?
Don't be annoying.
Don't be too vocal.
Yeah.
What's wild too is that as musicians, if we just think about our community and how we work together, like we want that community. Again, like we're looking to work with each other. So yeah, we might have band directors that have a couple colleagues and they're in a school system, but also when another really qualified, really passionate music educator reaches out and is saying, "I'd love to support your program," they're not going to be annoyed by that. And honestly, on the incredibly rare occasion that they might be, which I really can't even think of any good examples of this off the top of my head right now. I'm sure I could like dig deep down in the archives and and probably come up with something. But in the very rare occasions that it isn't a fit, they're usually just going to tell you like, "I'm not interested," or "This isn't a fit for us at this time. Thank you so much." But for the most part, you're right. Like we either caught them at the wrong time. They're also incredibly busy. Like school music jobs are wild. And or it's just not a priority today. And by bringing it to the top of their inbox again, it's really supportive. We're just helping remind them. We're not like pestering them or being weird.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think held you back? Was it just that anxiety of like maybe being a bother that was holding you back from doing that follow-up? Was there anything else that was missing in that process? Okay.
Mostly the anxiety and really just not knowing what to say. Yeah. They're just, what do you say in the third email to not sound rude? Like,
Yeah.
why haven't you seen my emails? You know? So,
Well, yeah, you don't want to be rude. You don't want to be redundant. You just want to be effective and supportive, and finding that balance can be challenging.
yeah.
Absolutely. Was there anything else, maybe in the school outreach, but also just in the business as we started? Like, because we made some big changes to policies as we were talking about and how the sales process, quote unquote, our consultation process was working. Were there any pieces that were also creating a lot of anxiety as we started to make those shifts?
The other big thing I think was pricing.
Mm,
And I was before doing a flat rate tuition, which was helpful. I had, I think, one family on auto pay for the month, and now all but two are on auto pay,
nice.
and they're grandfathered in from before. And having the confidence to charge what I'm worth, because for a lot of my career, I guess, I've been told, oh, just charge the least amount. And I had colleagues in my master's program telling me, oh, you're charging too much. And I was
Mm,
charging under the national dollar a minute industry standard. And so that little pesky, it was pesky little mind frame was in the back of my brain.
yeah. It's hard too because when we talk about pricing amongst colleagues, it's so dependent on, like, yes, your education, your background experience, where you live.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest factors. And also, instructor confidence is a really important part of that pricing factor, too. Like, if we're confident in what we're offering and we're confident in the price that we're assigning to it, that does come across in the conversations that we're having in those consultations and our communication with potential students and parents. That absolutely has an impact on whether or not they're willing to pay a set amount. But what do you think, like, built that confidence for you? Because now I think we're quite confident in the rates that we're charging. We've added a lot of students to those new rates, which is exciting. But what do you
Yeah.
think built that, like, resiliency around the pricing conversation?
I think the biggest was just having that like list of
Mm,
here's what I offer.
mm,
And maybe not being super explicit. I don't, unless a parent is, I haven't really had a parent be like, do you have another job? But I do bassoon for my job. And I think that that is a selling point of
mm.
this is what I spend my time doing. I'm not, working a desk job from 9 to 5 and then, trying to conjure up the energy to teach your students. This is what I do. I spend my, days planning for students. I make reads for all of my students. I'm in it. I'm in for the long game. And having that really set out, like, here's all the things I offer. This is a lot. This is a lot. And then saying, this is my price. Instead of, the other way around of this is my price. And then they're already kind of turned off from that. They make, oh, it's
Yeah.
kind of expensive. And then you have to back up. Well, this is why. Having that flipped of, here's all the great things I do. Here's all the great things your student will do. And this is what it costs.
Yeah.
I
The,
think most,
the, like, the confidence and the value, right? The value
yeah,
that you're providing and how you demonstrate that.
yeah, for sure. And I think most parents at that point in the conversation, when price comes in at the end, they go, "Oh yeah, that makes sense."
You know what's wild? We get a lot of questions about this, and I know that you and I have had conversations about this too. Sometimes parents just email me like, "How much are lessons?" That's the
Yeah,
first question that they answer, right?
yeah,
And then we panic because of everything we just talked about. We want to demonstrate value and we want to show them what we're offering and help them understand before we talk about pricing. Because otherwise, like you said, you say the price, and then if they're not sure if it's worth it, now you have to, like, justify the price, and it kind of
yeah,
puts you on the defensive in a really weird way. Which, we're talking about, like, not wanting to be salesy, if you're on the defensive, like, anything we do at that point is gonna feel salesy and weird and, like, pushy. Like, I'm just trying to make you sign up and, like, get you on my side. Like, it
yeah,
starts to get like the energy is so weird, and like that's not a conversation that I want to have. It's definitely not a conversation you want to have either.
No.
So when you can show through marketing and through the content that you're creating and then through that consultation conversation, there's so much value here. And all of this value is included at this price. Like you said, that framing is just so much more comfortable for everyone involved.
Yeah.
And it stops feeling, at least in my experience, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. I've always felt like that comes across as less salesy and more like we're just having a genuine conversation about how we're going to work together.
Yeah.
And then once we're sure it's a fit, because we are sure it's a fit, now we can talk about pricing. It's a little bit more organic. And
Yeah.
also, if
And
it's not a fit, cool, that's fine. But now you know
yeah,
exactly what the value is.
right. And I think for me, it was a little tough to make that switch
Mm,
because I want to be transparent and I want
yeah.
to just say, here, lay it all out. But then knowing that parents don't read through your whole website, they just go to the price
Yeah.
tab. What does it cost? Because that's important to them. And when
Of course.
I'm considering, services or programs or things I buy, the price is really important. But if I think to things that I've purchased, I always go back to the value of it.
Mm,
Of, oh, well, this new kitchen gadget. It has all these new fancy features and oh, it's going to solve all my problems, right? And then you see the price tag and maybe you go, ooh, not right now. And that's okay. But when the price, you have to scroll all the way to the bottom or you have to talk to someone, I think it's a lot better conversation for both ends and it doesn't make anybody feel weird.
yeah. Well, I think the other part of it that it opens up, and I think we did a little bit of this in your studio too. Um, but part of the conversation that opens at that point is if they see the value, but they can't afford it. That's a different conversation. I want to just like honor that part of
Yeah,
what we're talking about too. What we're talking about is someone who can afford our premium rate, understands the value, and then understands why the price is the price, right?
right.
If we have the conversation about the value and then we state the price and it's way out of someone's accessible range, that's a different process. It's a different conversation. We can support them in other ways. Like now we can do
Right.
in-house scholarship programs, and you have bassoon ensemble and other group sessions where we can support them too at a more reasonable rate for their budget and their needs. It doesn't mean that we're creating inaccessible lessons or that we're closing it off to an entire group of people. It just means that those who can and are willing to pay those rates understand what it is they're actually getting at that price.
Yeah. And I think the people that really would benefit from maybe an in-house scholarship or
Mm-hmm.
just, some kind of other lesson package offering, they'll say something.
Yes.
And the
Because
people
they see
that,
the value, they want to work with you. Yeah,
yeah, the
exactly.
people that just get sticker shock and go, ugh, that's not worth my time. No,
Yeah.
they're not the right fit anyway.
Mm,
They're not the right fit anyway.
yeah. Yep. I totally am on the same page. I see it the same way. Well,
Yeah.
I want to talk about this result a little bit too. So, okay, studio has grown. So we've implemented all these things. We updated the pricing, the consultation process. We were getting more responses in our emails, doing more follow up. We were doing more bassoon commercials. I love that phrase, by the way. That's so cute. Uh, what results have happened in the studio as a result of the marketing and the sales process and the policy going really well?
I feel like I'm busy in a good way.
Mm, yeah.
And I'm teaching students, not that I didn't love all of my students, because I love all of them. And they have their own unique personalities. But now my studio is full of students I really love to work with.
Mm,
And parents that are easy to talk to, easy to communicate with. I don't have to worry about feeling like I might get shortchanged because that kind of happened last year around this time. That kind of happened. And now I feel like I've had the rapport building already with these families. And now it's just, okay, let's do bassoon. And it's just, yeah, it just feels good to wake up every day and go, oh yes, who's on the schedule today?
and that's the way that our students want us to feel about them too. And again, not that you didn't love all your students before, but I think sometimes when there's that one student that we've all been there. you're working with them because even though it's not 100% a fit, like we kind of need the money and like we need that spot filled, unfortunately. And it's not that we're a bad teacher and we're not showing up for them or that we're treating them poorly in any way, shape, or form. But when the energy is not fully aligned, it's just not a great fit for either side. And the results that we're getting are just not 100%. Maybe they're like 75% of what they could be if that student was with a teacher that is a better fit for them. So
Yeah.
being able to say no is also really empowering for both sides too.
Yeah. And when I feel like I have the process down, like the recruitment process down, I'm not stressing about it. And
Yeah.
my energy is not going to stress about my studio situation.
Mm.
And it's just, I teach the kids that I have. And I'm still recruiting, but I'm not, anxiety, because I'm naturally a high anxiety person. And, when you have 3 students, you kind of go, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And what you feel like you're just like banging down the door and nobody's answering. You're like,
Mm.
yeah.
One piece I want to just, if it's okay if I like brag about you for a second.
Yeah.
Something, okay, we keep talking about the bassoon commercials. I think part of what's really cool about obviously the instrument that you teach and what's needed in order to support that instrument and developing those instruments in the programs you're working with is that you're not just registering existing students. You're also helping these programs to actively recruit new bassoon players. So
Yeah.
the value that you're offering is not just like I'm going to come in and do a sectional because there's one kid potentially that we're serving in that sectional, which may not be. It can still definitely be helpful for the program and the student, but it may not be the most
Yeah.
impactful thing. But they need a pipeline. Like they need to know that they have bassoon 1 and 2 for all their ensembles and all those parts are
Yeah.
covered, right? They want to know that they can borrow students into the orchestra program when they want to do crossover collaboration concerts, and that there's enough students to support that. Um, wouldn't it be amazing if we could have bassoon 1 and 2 be doubled for every single ensemble? Like band directors want that, right? Because they
Yes.
want that growth and they want that retention in their program. And
Yeah.
so having support from what you're offering is really impactful, but also the professional development that you're doing through the student ensemble and through other professional development that you've scheduled is helping that too. Like
Yeah.
talk about that for just a second. Obviously I'm very excited about it, but like talk about some of the professional development that you're doing to support the band directors. So it's not just you and like coming in and pitching the instrument, but you're helping them too.
Yeah. So I guess to start off with, one thing I'm really passionate about is education. And again, that community is like, I see my life purpose as being helpful to other people. And my vehicle in this life is the bassoon. And I find that so many band directors, especially, are very overwhelmed. And bassoon gets shuffled down to the bottom of their list. It's not that they're not thinking about it, it's not that they're not aware, but it's they have 500 other fires to put out
Yep.
a day. And so having a bassoon player is the bottom of their list, and it might only come up for them when they pick a piece for state contest and oh, there's this exposed bassoon solo. What do we do? So being a support system for the band directors, not just in trying to recruit for my studio, but being a genuine person of support and trying to be like the bassoon lady in town. So one thing I've kind of always wanted to do with the bassoon ensemble is offer professional development for band directors. And so tomorrow, and probably when this airs on the YouTubes, the internet, it will have already happened. Tomorrow we are having a double read day. And the 2 main goals, I guess 3, recruitment for me and my colleagues' studios, obviously, and getting our face in front of band directors, but also allowing students an opportunity in kind of a instrument petting zoo style to try out the instruments and to hear them play professionally live.
Yeah.
Along with that, in the getting in front of the band directors portion and education is I have a colleague that is a bassoon repair technician who's coming up and he's going to teach a repair class. And then we're teaching a kind of methods class plus / refresh course. so many band directors and so many college and university settings, their methods course, maybe they get a day. And in that day, they probably don't touch bassoon. They just learn about it. And that's way too common across the country. And some programs, like my undergraduate degree, we had a 3-instrument class. So it was flute, clarinet, bassoon. Flute, oboe, bassoon, sorry. And that was good. Everybody got to play bassoon. We played for like 4 weeks, I think. It was really good. And that's like one end of the spectrum, but that's few and far between. And so many band directors just got handouts. And that can only do so much, but then that contributes to their anxiety about having bassoon players.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do. And maybe they graduated 15, 20 years ago, and their lists are outdated. And they don't have time to go research and fully learn and immerse themselves in bassoon. They don't have time to update their resources. So I feel like that's where I come in. If I can be the talking resource to say, here's where you can get reeds from. Here's a great seat strap. Here's who you can go to repair your instruments. Or, something I've been doing a lot is repairing bassoons.
Yep.
And being that resource for them, because even I find it's way easier to ask a human being, hey, I have a question, instead of trying to find it on the internet.
Yeah.
I do this all the time with my dad. My dad is like the smartest human being I know. And oftentimes I'll just call him. And my husband will be like, do you need to call you don't need to bother him. And I'm like, he's an encyclopedia of knowledge. Like, I would rather just pick up the phone, call him and say, hey, well, what about such and such? Okay, cool. And then we have a nice little chat, and then I have the answer I needed.
Yeah.
And I feel like other people feel the same. And
having that trust matters too. Like,
yeah.
they know that you're going to give them the answer that they need in a way that they can present it to their students. Like,
right.
Not only are they going to get the answer themselves, but then also, here's how I would teach this to
right.
the child that you're asking about.
Right.
It makes a difference.
It does. It does. And that quick response and just being a friendly face. Like, I pride myself on being a friendly person. And so, thank you. Just being the person that's, bassoon, yay! And then they can fall back on me. They can call me up. I had a band director friend call me about vocals because they got a grant from their school. They said, nice. Can I call you? They emailed me. I said, yeah. And we talked about what they should purchase. That was easier for them rather than calling the place. They didn't really want to call the place and say, I've got these couple instruments. I already knew what instruments they had.
Yeah.
It's because I built that rapport.
And they don't want to be sold anything either. When you're a resource like that, like, you're an unbiased, like, just helpful resource with the budget that you have. Here's what I would buy, and here's how to maximize that budget. And they trust that opinion of yours.
Right.
And that goes a long way too. And that's why when we talk about marketing in our local area, it's relationship building. Those instructors, of course, they're going to think of you when a student is interested in bassoon, or of course they're going to invite you back into their classroom, because there's that baseline professional friendship there that keeps us top of mind too.
Yeah. I'm a reachable, friendly face.
Yeah. It's so exciting. I want to jump back really quick to just like that decision back in June and July when we joined Outside the Box Scale, kickstarted all this great growth and everything that we're talking about. Why did you decide to join the program? I know we talked about wanting some support and having someone to tell you how to do it, but what made this a fit for you in particular?
Thinking back, I had a run-in with an adult student who kind of burned me. And they weren't, I don't believe they were malicious in their intent at all. I actually work with them now. I continue to work with them. But at that time, they were they didn't read my studio policies. We didn't have a consultation, so I didn't have a chance to explain them. And they felt guilty for their lack of practice. And I never got the chance to explain to them that that's okay, especially at the adult level. It's okay. And it really soured me. Mm. And part of it was a personal investment in this person, because this person reminded me very much of a former student that I had that passed away. And so I felt like, oh, the sky is opening. I found this person. They remind me so much of this other person. And my heart was just very invested. And then I got burned. And they all, with, a couple late notices, canceled lessons, and then just dropped. And I was like, I wish I could have talked to them. And so this sitting down and doing consultations was kind of revolutionary, because I was like, now I get the time. Now I get the time to really go over my expectations. And so that was really kind of the kickstart, as well as going into the next school year and really wanting to have that solid plan and someone's kind of telling me what to do, and have this solid idea of what I needed to do going into the school year, so that I could have a successful recruitment period, even though it's marching band and we don't do bassoon outside.
Yeah, we don't do bassoon outside. No bassoon outside, please.
No. Hard pass.
If we think back 6 months ago, when we were in that predicament and we're looking at joining the Outside the Box Scale program, what do you wish you could tell yourself? Maybe like a little piece of advice or a little like insight into what the next few months are going to look like to help you make that decision?
Just do it. I think like I said previously, I'm a very high anxiety person. I conceal it well, thanks to modern medicine and, therapy. We all love therapy. But I operate at a very high level most days, pretty much every day. And I fear not doing the right thing. And I think that fear held me back. And just I wish I could have just pushed myself to do it sooner. Because the level of comfort I have in my life, even though I'm too busy, and we've learned some lessons on what work we can take on and when to schedule things.
An ongoing learning journey.
Yes, an ongoing learning journey. Having the comfort in this is what I do. I'm good at it. And people come to me. And that is what I want. And I have the comfort of a larger studio now. So having that, you will be less anxious in 6 months. I promise.
I'm really excited about all the growth that you've experienced and continue to experience in the studio. No, we're not done. We've got double read day tomorrow, and we've got bassoon ensemble coming up, and recitals, and a whole bunch of other really good things. And your students are really busy right now. 'Tis the season. So
yes,
so excited for you and everything that you continue to build. Congratulations, Mariah. You should be so proud. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. Let's maybe as a final parting word, I want to promote obviously your studio and your read business to anyone that's listening. So where do people find you on the interwebs if they are curious about what you're doing?
Yes, so on the internet, I exist mostly on Instagram. You can find me at KC Bassoon Academy, or my read business is Raven Reads. I kicked Raven out. Raven is my cat. She would scream the whole time. But she's my supervisor on that end. So that's where I promote my reads as well.
Awesome. Yeah, got to have some kind of supervisor keep you on track, right?
Oh,
Raven's
yeah.
a good.
Oh, for sure.
Good motivator.
Yes.
Make those reads faster, Mom, so you can come hang out with me. Let's go.
Exactly.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Come on, dinner's late. Let's go.
It is 5:02, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I don't know what that's like at all. Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, thank you so much for sharing all of your insight and your journey. I know it's been a wild, 6 or 7 months here that we've been doing this and growing the studio, and also again just so excited for you and so proud of you. So thank you for all of your time and your energy. I really appreciate it.
Thank you as well. It's been awesome.